Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for April 29, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. Big weekend to recap. He's Teddy Sivransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. The draft exits Nashville, and we ramp up NBA coverage, Teddy. Watching yesterday on a Sunday, flopping in and out of the fish pan, James Harden. A lot of controversy in that game that saw the Golden State Warriors win 104-100. If you had that Houston ticket, you stayed under the total. And also, Teddy, some interesting stuff in that game. The technical at the end of the game, maybe saving backers one way. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to talk point spread drama. There was plenty of point spread drama in Golden State, Houston. But what everyone's talking about today is the fouls or the lack thereof against the Warriors from how they defended Houston on the three-point line. I mean, the Rockets jacked up 47 threes yesterday, 14 of 47, just 29% from on the arc. They still got the money, in part thanks to those late-game shenanigans. But really, the quotes here are all about what's going on at the three-point line and how Golden State's defending. James Harden, quote, "Call the game how it's supposed to be called, and that's it, and I'll live with the results." But especially, we all know what happened a few years back with Kawhi. That can change an entire series. Obviously, talk about Kawhi Leonard getting hurt when he got undercut by Jaja Pachulia, who didn't let him go down following a three-point shot. That was the issue yesterday, and there were multiple circumstances, multiple opportunities for the refs to call free throws that they didn't call. Obviously, the Rockets not happy about it after the game. Of course, talk about the Warriors. Hey, here's Draymond Green. When you land 3 feet ahead of where you shoot the ball from, that really ain't my issue. I've been fouled by James on a James three-pointer before. That's just the nature of the games we play. Refereeing is an inexact science, so it is what it is. All that being said, Mike D'Antoni said the Rockets should have had 20 more free throws than they did. The drama here, pretty good for a game one. Houston got the money, and you're right. The technical, followed by the 4 seconds afterwards with nobody fouling, nobody doing anything, probably saved Rockets backers in that game getting the money instead of getting the push or the loss.
Yeah, no 2 free throws on the technical. You just get one. They sort of walk off the court. The one thing that's interesting about that, because I know, the boy who cried wolf is what we like to see. We see it in the NHL a lot. If you're going in on a breakaway and you get taken down, but you dive, it's an offsetting penalty. You don't really have that in the NBA. And there were instances to me, Teddy, which I actually thought that a little bit of undercutting was going on with Klay Thompson. But if you continually do it and then over-exaggerate, the last play of the game that came into question, Teddy, almost basically like, James Harden was at half court and landed inside the free throw line by the time he was done with that jump shot. I completely agree with that call, but it'll be interesting. And we're gamblers here, as we always like to say. Moving forward, Teddy, in the game too, you see the squawking out there. You see the NBA say, well, we might have missed 2 or 3 of those in the first half. Do you think we see like a big, I want to say almost like a shift in the opposite direction where they're going to be overprotective and call these in game 2?
No, I don't think so. The teams that bitch and moan don't tend to get the love from the refs the next time around. And maybe you get some of the coin flip calls, but to say, all right, next time out, you can count on Houston getting the calls when Golden State defends that way. I wouldn't count on it. We didn't see him in game 1. And all the bitching and moaning in the world isn't going to change the ref's opinion about what a foul is and what a foul isn't. Be very interesting to see this one for game 2. We notice that the markets haven't made any adjustment whatsoever. There's no zigzag in play here with the Warriors 5.5, which is pretty much what the point spread was for game 1. Some books went up to 6 before close yesterday.
And I thought the interesting part about this was as well, Teddy, is when you look at it, it's like a one-way street because one team, it seems like they're trying to, evade the rule books, jump in and create contact every single time they pull up for a jump shot, while the other team, Golden State, just worried about making baskets. It'll be interesting to see them follow through in game 2. But what we thought we would see all year long, Teddy, the Boston Celtics kicking it in the hyper gear. Now they get into the playoffs, dominant in round 1, dominant in the first game of round 2 versus the Bucks. And people holding that ticket saying, wait, man, got 7.5 and 8. Is that a joke? Have to pretty much, as I say, wipe the cold out your eye. How did I get +8 for this game? And then you look at that game 2 spread, people lining up, Teddy, to take those Celtics again.
Well, I mean, they're 5-0 in the postseason, and they're catching 7.5 points in game 2. And game 1 wasn't just a win. I mean, that was a beatdown. A 2-point lead at the half turned into a blowout in the second half. And everyone knows, Brad Stevens, quote, "This is a hard team to play against." That wasn't their best game. All that being said, here's a quote from Kyrie Irving. Again, a Celtics team that is undefeated in the playoffs, dominant game 1 blowout, and is catching 7.5 points in game 2. Quote, we're dealing with our ups and downs, but I think we just have an appreciation for the group that we have. We're kind of coming together now after an uneven regular season. A lot of respect for Milwaukee still in the betting markets. You would expect the Bucks to play better than they did in game 1, which was pretty ugly. But to ask them to lay 7.5, well, that's a little bit rich for my blood, considering how well the Celtics have played here in the postseason.
It's amazing looking at the Celtics set. I mean, they have everything that you want. A good, strong starting five, a superstar point guard player who's been there, done that, and has a ring. And then obviously that second wave comes in. Then you back it up with the fantastic head coach. We'll see if it continues. But look, all that pressure is now shifted to the Milwaukee Bucks. They got to get it done game 2 at home. Otherwise, they're going to be in some deep trouble here. The one team we keep bringing up here, Teddy, on that betting show is the Yankees. We don't even know who's in their lineup daily. This is almost like, the split squad, Teddy, in spring training that we have. You have the A team and the B team goes up to Sarasota while the regular team plays down somewhere in Clearwater. This is amazing stuff because we even had games lined like first 5 innings, an over-under of 3, full game 6, 7.5, 8 continuously. Every time I turn on the Yankees, it doesn't matter who's in the lineup, Teddy. They're raking at the plate.
Yeah, okay, here's the quote from their leading home run hitter. The Yankees' leading home run hitter? No, maybe it's not Giancarlo. No, it's not Judge. Yeah, it's Luke Voigt. Quote, right now we're getting it all done. We're getting it done in all facets of the game. Obviously, the home runs are nice. He's been on a bomb tear. But we're getting guys over, getting sacrifice flies, huge hits. Guys are stepping up in bigger roles. It's fun to watch. Every quote coming out of that Bronx Bombers locker room right now is, we love each other. We're playing great. We're picking each other up. When this guy's struggling, that guy's stepping up. Yankees are a team that has been severely undervalued by the betting markets in recent weeks. And boy, the lead they're putting together right now, over a Boston team that continues to struggle, may well pay dividends later in the season.
Hey, losing hundreds of millions of dollars in payroll doesn't seem to matter. 9 of 10 wins for the Yankees. We'll see if they come home, and that can certainly continue. But certainly interesting for your bench. And now you get that B team says, hey, we towed the line. Here comes the A team back. We'll see if that certainly measures up for the rest of the year. Segment 2, Teddy, overnight line movers here at sportsbookreview.com. The single best place to check on the internet is SBRodds.com. These lines are changing all the time. Major League Baseball today. We'll take a look at a few games. Wheeler getting some support here early Monday. Mets open up at a -140 and rise to a -154. Roark versus Wheeler, Reds versus Mets.
Yeah, and we talked about Roark several times as a guy that the advanced metrics don't love and the markets don't love, and Wheeler's kind of the opposite of that. His last 3 starts have been brilliant. 20 innings of work. He's only given up 5 runs, 16 hits, 24 strikeouts during that span. Last time out, that dominant effort against Philadelphia. Manager Mickey Callaway, quote, that's probably one of the best games we've ever seen him throw. The market's certainly paying attention to that. Whereas Roark, he's struggling to finish 5 innings. Last time out, he got through the 5th after convincing the manager to let him stay in. Quote, I was kind of selfish in that point, but I felt like I needed to stay in there and prove I definitely can go longer than 5 innings. That's a confidence booster. Understand why the Mets are getting the money right now, but if I'm playing this game, it'd be Cincy as a live dog. Roark with a fairly good track record against that New York lineup.
Yeah, Wheeler, we've seen it before. Highly active pitcher, routinely in the high 90s, touching 100 as a starting pitcher. We'll see what happens tonight. Atlanta looks to ride that Sunday comeback yesterday. A late 3-run bomb by Josh Donaldson lifts them to a victory over the Colorado Rockies. Gausman got flamed in the start yesterday. If we take a look today, Braves open up at 140, Teddy, now sitting at 160 early in the day. Padres, Braves, Margevicius versus Soroka, the youngsters.
Yeah, and there's 2 factors in play here for the early money coming on Atlanta. One, that the Padres may well be without Fernando Tatis Jr. He got hurt yesterday. He was able to walk off the field on his own power, but we're talking about a guy who's hitting 300 with 6 homers and had a pretty good series in Washington, who may not be able to go this evening. And of course, there's definitely some support here for Soroka. He's coming off a brilliant, 5 2/3, 1 run, 5 hits against Cincinnati. He's looked pretty good. Brian McCann, quote, he doesn't get the Braves catcher. He doesn't get caught up in where he's at. I know this is a big leagues, and you probably wait your whole life to get here. But when you can slow the moment down, the games become easier. He has that ability. He's well beyond his years. The market certainly thinks so with all the early money coming on Atlanta.
Total on the rise here, Teddy. Cardinals and the Nationals markets open up around 8, now showing 8.5. It's going to be -142, -135, depending on where you're shopping at SBRodds.com. As we said, a total of 8.5. Waka versus Corbin here.
Yeah, Waka's got left knee tendonitis. He missed his last start. He hadn't thrown since April 17th, in fact. So there are definitely some concerns about his ability. Corbin's got a 2.48 ERA. His xFIP's a full run higher. He's got an 87.5% strand rate. That's not sustainable. And of course, the Nats bullpen behind him, still number 29 in MLB in ERA. Only Baltimore is worse. So we've seen some over money come in this one. No surprise. Neither starter is one that the markets love. And certainly that Nationals bullpen is one the markets are looking to fade.
Watch what you bet here, Teddy, at That Betting Show. We got 2 NBA games on the docket and 1 Major League Baseball game. And as we like to say, as I said, watch what you bet. I'm not too sure I want to watch. As a Sixer fan, my exact fears were realized in game 1, where Toronto just ran them off the court from start and were completely the better team. Now trying to reload and get ready for game 2. Raptors favored by 6.5, total of 220, moneyline split plus 224, minus 276. 8 p.m. live from the Scotiabank Center tonight in Toronto. The Sixers are 42-46 on the season. Raptors are 42-44 against the number on the season. And look, from a Sixer fan, if you're looking to bet them, zigzag theory or not, I wasn't impressed with what took place. But then again, if you want to take a little bit of solace, even though it was against lesser competition, the Sixers game 1 to game 2 versus the Brooklyn Nets in round 1, they showed a marked improvement. They really need it here, or somebody's got to contain Kawhi out there, Teddy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Kawhi and Siakam who had a ridiculous game 1s with Kawhi, the career playoff best 45 points in that ball game. Ben Simmons, quote, he's a tough player. I mean, he's Kawhi. He's a physical guy, a lot of length. He can shoot the ball, so he's a tough guy to match up on. Brett Brown, incrementally, every year, he just gets more dominant. Nick Nurse, that was, again, a big-time performance at both ends. And I just like the force he's playing with at both ends, but especially when he is getting the ball. He's pushing up the floor, he's punching gaps with force, and he's determined to get spaces. We talked about the Celtics as being undefeated in the postseason. Well, here are the Raptors. Since that game 1 loss, they've won every game, and they've done most of them in fairly dominant fashion. Meanwhile, Philadelphia, I mean, they haven't won in Toronto since 2012, 14 consecutive losses on this floor. That's certainly a concern. JJ Redick, interesting quote here that I want to bring up. Quote, I think we saw what we expected. We just have to do a better job of generating good shots. There's got to be a good to great mindset. Just try to make connective plays. I think when we did that, we had good offense. We didn't look very good. Obviously, there's a reason we shot under 40%. Toronto, 52%, Philly, 39% from the floor. Those are obviously stats that'll need to switch around more than a little bit if the 76ers are going to hang tough with a chance at the outright upset this evening.
Yep, think I need to go to church, Teddy, and light a few candles and say a few rosaries in order to help them out tonight. We'll see what takes place. One of the series, Teddy, obviously it's just getting underway, but I think it's going to fly under the radar here. Blazers and the Nuggets kick off game 1 tonight. Nuggets -4, total of 216, moneyline split plus 155, minus 175. 10:30 tonight, so you get a nice doubleheader action there from the Pepsi Center in Colorado. Portland, 48-39 against the number on the season, 11-17 against the number as a road dog, 6-5 in the month of April against the number. Denver, 45-44 against the number on the season, 33-29 against the number as a favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the trends are going to point towards the team that is rested against the team that isn't. In fact, it's a pretty strong trend to the tune of 27-1 against the spread the last 28 tries, when one team's on 1 day's rest and the other team is on 5 days worth of rest. So advantage Portland in that regard. That being said, some of the quotes I'm seeing out of Denver seem to make me seem to think that the Nuggets are comfortable with this matchup and confident about their ability to shut down the Blazers. After all, Denver did win 3 out of the 4 meetings this season, and the only meeting they didn't win was one where they were resting starters in April. Paul Millsap, quote, we're prepared. We've been prepared for them all year. I think we got a pretty good scout on them. Dame's on a tear right now. Try to cut his water off and calm him down is going to be key for us. Obviously, you have Lillard and McCollum, who both had huge series against Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's not Denver. Torrey Craig, quote, we match up against them well. We always play pretty good against them. They've got 2 really, really good players, so it's going to be tough to slow these guys down. The issue, of course, is that they only have 2 really good players. Nurkic out for the season, and Cantor now is hurting. He suffered a left shoulder separation in the Game 5 win against OKC. He is expected to play, maybe. Quote, I think the Blazers are doing a very good job taking care of it, but I mean, obviously, I'm not going to lie. It hurts pretty bad. I'm having a hard time changing my shirt or eating food, so it's a process. We're just taking it day by day see how he feels. Enes Kanter, in theory, would be an impact player in this series. If he can't play in game one, that will hurt Portland's chances significantly.
Taking a look at another baseball game here, Teddy, after that doubleheader in the NBA. We move over to the Red Sox, and it's weird to see. Look, this is a team that's used to having success, 11-17 to open the season. And the one thing you can usually bank on is if you have an ace, a number one guy, Cy Young winner, who can be that stopper in your lineup every fifth day, seems to be not working out because Chris Sale, every time on the mound, seems like he is a liability. They can't get out of their own way. As we said, 11-17 on the year. Going to take on the Athletics tonight, Teddy. Total of 7 p.m. on ESPN live from Fenway. Athletics 14-16, a little bit under the number for them as well. But as we said, the Red Sox 11-17. Montes 3.10 ERA versus Rodriguez 5.88. They need a win, Teddy.
So does Oakland. Oakland had a really bad series in Toronto. They got swept by the Blue Jays. In fact, they've lost all 6 meetings this year against the Blue Jays. And here's a quote from Chris Bassett, their starting pitcher yesterday. To be quite honest with you, our energy the whole series was kind of bad. I'm not saying we were negative. We were all kind of sleepwalking a little bit. It happens. Everyone goes through this time. But obviously, we have to snap out of it. We need to pick up the energy a little bit and get back to normal things. Certainly, Fenway's a place where you tend to pick up the energy a little bit. Montas is not a guy who I'm afraid to back, even in a ballpark like this. He's coming off a win against Texas. Didn't give up a homer the last 2 out. Eduardo Rodriguez is no ace for Boston. He got hit hard in his first 2 starts, been better the last few. But this is a Red Sox team I have a very difficult time laying any price with right now. They're not playing. I want to lay chalk with them baseball. Manager Alex Cora. I mean, it's obvious. We haven't been consistent. If we pitch, we don't hit. We don't hit. You know the phrase, whatever. One thing is going, the other one is not. Defensively, we show flashes, then we don't. We haven't been able to put everything together. Worth noting, Boston's been playing the last couple games without J.D. Martinez. He has back spasms. Don't know yet if he's going to be able to play this evening. But without him, that's another bad, strike for the Red Sox. A team that, hey, I'm not laying with Boston here. If I'm playing this game, it's A's or pass.
Seems to me, Teddy, we're going to talk a little bit in our off the mic section here. Everything the NFL touches just gets bigger and better. You see them moving around. It used to be always be in New York City at Madison Square Garden or the theater at Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall. Then they decided to come up with the grand scheme of, you know what, let's move it around to these cities. And it's been one home run after another. Nashville, over 600,000 people over the 3 days. Huge ratings on TV. It just literally looked like a great time with some decent weather outside of that first night with the rain on Thursday night. But now we flip it over and look at 2020. Is there a better place that you can possibly put it than Las Vegas, Nevada, to welcome the Raiders into town? The one question I have with you, Teddy, since you are a local there, are we putting this on the Strip, or are we getting down and dirty and putting it on Fremont and having some fun with it?
Well, we got to start with what happened. I mean, obviously, 600,000 fans there. Did you see the quotes from the Bachelorettes? The Bachelorettes weren't happy with all the Bachelorette parties in Nashville this last weekend, so it didn't please everyone. I have no idea where Vegas is putting the draft. I'm not going to deal with that. I'll watch it the same way I watch it, which is I'll look at the recap on Sunday and go through it. But I'm not going to, the draft is for fans. Okay. Fans enjoy it. You get to watch your franchise screw up pick after pick after pick and go, yeah, or oh, or you idiots, or whatever you do. As a bettor, I'm not so worried about the draft. I'm telling you, free agency matters more. And what you want to do at this stage, take a look at what the team's offseason goals were coming into the offseason. See how many of those goals that they met over the course of the last 3 or 4 months. As for the draft itself, I don't know if it's going to be on the Strip or downtown. Personally, I think downtown might be a lot of fun. I'm a downtown fan to begin with. So Strip's always overpriced and overcrowded, my friend. That's what the locals say here in Vegas.
Hey, man, let's take it down to Fremont Street. Should be a lot of fun. And keep in mind also, we're almost going to flip the calendar over to the month of May. And that means football season here at That Betting Show. Team-by-team breakdown. Now that we see a better, clear picture, you're going to get some of these guys funneled in from free agency, and then we can get a good read on what's going to take place and start hammering it out. Because, people, it's almost football season here. Thank you for tuning in today to That Betting Show. April 29, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Savransky. Once again, give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. We'll catch you tomorrow. Go over everything that took place on the diamond and on the NBA court. Take care. Cash your tickets, folks.